Hey guys, Vic from Airvol here, your trusted Canadian CPAP supplier. And in today's video, I'm going to go over in detail how to use your new Loewenstein Prisma device, as well as how to maintain it and what kind of support services are available. So without further ado, I have the equipment right here in front of me. I have the Loewenstein Prisma device, as well as the Prisma Aqua Humidifier. I also have a care guide sheet that you would get with this equipment if you purchase from us. The care guide sheet goes over some of the information I will go over in the video today, such as how often to replace parts and how often to clean them. Okay. Along with the device, you also do get the tubing. And for the tubing, you have an option to either get a regular tubing or you could get a heated tubing. The heated tubing for the Loewenstein device is called a Cozy Line tubing, and it has its own power supply, so that's how you know it's a heated one. Masks are sold separately. For the purpose of this video, I have the ResMed N20 mask here. However, you could use any CPAP mask with this machine. You could use a nasal mask, a pillow, a full face, Fisher & Paykel, Loewenstein, or a Respironics mask. It doesn't matter, it would be compatible with this device. Now, you can get the Loewenstein machine without the humidifier or with the humidifier included. We do recommend getting the humidifier with it so you have that option available. So when you initially get the equipment, they do provide a side cover for this machine. So that way, if you didn't want to use the humidity, you would basically just cap the side. And now you actually have a nice portable unit for travel. Of course, like all CPAP machines, you do get a travel case with it as well when you get this equipment. The travel case that you get with the machine has enough space for the humidifier if you elect to get that later. Okay? And this is the humidifier, it's just called Prisma Aqua. It has a heating rod, which is unique to the Loewenstein device. Most other PAP machines have a heating plate on the base of the tank, whereas this one has a heating rod, which is super easy to clean. And Loewenstein says that as long as you clean it and maintain it properly, your humidifier should last the life of your device. So unlike most machines where you have to change the water chambers quite frequently, these ones you can actually clean them and keep using them. Of course, they do sell parts like the humidifier plastic tank separately if you did want to replace them if you noticed any damage down the line. Okay, so the heating rod just simply goes into the side of the machine and you would just thread it in. Okay. If you wanted to install the humidifier on the machine, of course, you would remove that side plate and you would see the ports in which it would connect to on the side. So you're essentially just going to link it together, press it nice and firmly. You're going to hear a firm clicking noise, and now your Prisma Aqua humidifier is connected. The ejector button, just like the side cover, is right on the top of the machine. So if you wanted to separate it, you press the button, and you can easily slide the water tank out. To fill up your water chamber, you can actually do it in a couple of ways. The easiest method is just to use one of these two openings over there to fill it up. So you're simply going to turn it over this way. You're going to pour your water into one of those openings, and there is a scale on the bottom of the machine sideways that you can use to indicate your maximum indicated line. Once it's filled up, you can turn it over to the side, and you would simply click it in. Another way you could fill up your tank is by actually removing the lid itself, and now you can just fill it up from the top of the tank, and then you would reattach your lid. So you can use either or, whichever is more comfortable for you to fill up the humidifier chamber. All right, so on the back of the machine, you do have your air inlet. That's the little rectangular shape here, and that's the location of your filter as well. Now, the Loewenstein does have a washable filter, so you can clean this, dry it out, and pop it back in. It is recommended every 6 months to change the filter. Some people even change them more frequently, like every 3 months. If you have pets or allergies, you could also potentially source pollen filters separately for this device too. Below the filter inlet is where your power cord would connect to. So you'll see the port over there for that as well. Okay. And of course, with your equipment, you do get a power supply with it. And that's the little connector that goes into the back of the machine to power up the equipment. Okay. As I just mentioned earlier in the video, if you did get a heated tubing for the Loewenstein device, it doesn't have a port where it clicks into on the machine itself like other PAP machines. Instead, it has its own power cord. So you would know you're having a heated tube if it has a little cord connection like this. Of course, you could use this as a regular tubing if you simply disconnected it. Okay. If you have this connected, what a heated tubing does is it insulates the length of the tubing to reduce the amount of temperature loss that can occur as the air pressure moves through the length of the tube. What this assists in is to prevent a phenomenon called rainout, where you have a lot of condensation building up on your hose, and then your device makes a really loud rattling noise during therapy as the water droplets are moving through. So the heated tubing are usually recommended to have to prevent this from happening. Alternatively, you could get a regular tubing and a hose wrap as well to cover up a regular tubing if you prefer to go that route. Okay. So next up, we're going to go over the interface of your machine, what to expect to see on your screen. Now, of course, if you did send a prescription to us, we would have programmed your equipment already to your therapy settings prescribed by your physician. Sometimes there might not be suggested settings on there. If they just have settings such as APAP, then it would be sent at the default APAP or auto-adjusting mode of the equipment, and then you could just use the device that way. The machine does record data reports, so if you ever needed reports sent to your physician, we can actually do it all wirelessly with this device. You would simply contact us, and on demand, we'll be able to get the data from the equipment through the cloud that it sends the data reports to, and then we could send that out to your physician. If your physician recommends any setting changes, all of that can be done remotely on this device. Along with that, you also have access to an app called the Prisma app. It's an optional app that you can get for this device, where you'll be able to track your sleep information such as your usage, your AHI, which is your apnea-hypopnea index, your leak rates, and other useful tips and information to make your therapy better. Of course, some information can be seen on the equipment itself, so I'm going to show you that shortly. Okay guys, so when you plug in your device, your machine should start up, and on your main interface, you're going to see your time displayed right away. Now, if you have your Prisma Aqua humidifier connected, you are going to see a water droplet icon on the bottom of the screen next to the above the plus and minus buttons, and you can adjust that by pressing those buttons to increase or decrease your humidity level accordingly. Of course, that setting doesn't show up if your humidifier is not connected and the side plate was there instead. So that's simply how you would adjust your humidity setting. These machines can go to a maximum humidity setting of 5, or you could also turn it off if you didn't want any humidity. Normally, we recommend people to start off at a level of 3, and you can increase this setting if you're noticing any dryness or congestion during your therapy, or decrease this setting if you find that the air is too thick or heavy to breathe, or if you're getting a lot of condensation buildup in your tubing. Okay. Now, with the Loewenstein device, if you're using a heated tubing, there is no temperature setting on the page itself. Your tube just has a default heating setting where it'll just warm up adequately enough to prevent condensation. So no adjustment needed on the tube temperature of the Loewenstein Cozy Line tubing. Okay. If you needed to adjust other settings on your device, you have the menu button here that you would press once, and then you have a wheel icon underneath on top of the plus sign, which you press. You have now access to your options menu where you can adjust certain settings. The first setting you can adjust is your soft start. Soft start is synonymous to ramp on other devices, where the machine will start at a lower than prescribed pressure for the duration of time you set it to initially when you start your therapy. This setting can be set anywhere from 5 up to 45 minutes, and then you would find what you want, and then you would select the minute of ramp that you want. The next setting is your auto start setting, which is synonymous to smart start in other devices. So this is the feature where the equipment will sense your breathing when you wear your mask and turn on the machine automatically, and the device will shut off on its own when you remove the mask, and it senses sustained air leaks. So you can toggle this setting on and off, and then accept the setting and move on to the next one. Soft PAP is synonymous to EPR or flex on other devices, where the machine will decrease your exhalation pressure a little bit to make therapy a bit more comfortable. This is an optional setting for your therapy, so you could enable this if you want by pressing the plus button, and you have option to have an exhale relief of 1 or 2 levels, 2 being a higher exhale relief. You would select the setting you want and then accept it. You also have the ability to change the tube setting of your machine. Right now it's set to a 15 millimeter diameter tubing because we have a 15 millimeter tubing with us today. But if you had a thicker 22 diameter tubing, you could adjust that over there and then accept those changes. You also have the ability to set your time. So first the hours, and then after that the minutes, and then the ability to select whether you want a 24-hour clock or a 12-hour clock. Lastly, you'll be able to toggle your Bluetooth setting on or off on this screen. As I mentioned earlier, there is an app that you can use on this device called the Prisma app, where you will be able to track your data information such as your events per hour, usage, and leak rate. Okay, then after this, you can press the middle button, which will take you back to your home page. If you press that menu button and went into I, you can see your usage hour information of your previous night here. However, your AHI information will not be displayed on the machine. That information is only accessible if you go into the clinical menu of this device, which we have on another video. But rather than doing that, because the interface for the data viewing on these machines are not very user-friendly, we would highly recommend getting the Prisma app. If you didn't want to get an app, another easy method to track detailed reports is by going onto your computer and going to a website called prismajournal.com. It's a website in which you can insert the SD card of your machine, which all Loewenstein devices come with. It's on the opposite side of the humidifier. So you would insert that SD card into your computer when you have prismajournal.com open, and you'll be able to view your AHI statistics on the website directly. So that would be the two suggested methods to get your information. Alternatively, you could also contact the vendor that you purchase from, such as us, and we can wirelessly access your data as these machines transmit reports to Loewenstein's cloud. Vendors like us have access to this data, and on demand, we can get that information, we can send it to you, and we can also communicate it to physician if you needed that to be done. If your physician needed your settings to be adjusted, all of this can be also done remotely for this device. These are free support services that you get once you purchase the equipment. Okay, so now I'm going to go over the general maintenance of your equipment. So when you get the Loewenstein device, it does come with a 3-year manufacturer warranty. PAP devices in general are recommended to be replaced every 5 years. However, you do have disposable parts that need to be replaced more frequently. So we'll go over that. So as mentioned, the Prisma Aqua humidifier can actually last the lifespan of the machine. You just want to make sure that you're cleaning your heating rod on a weekly basis. So make sure you take this out. You clean it with regular soap and water. Dish soap or hand soap is totally fine. So you can submerge this entire rod along with your tubing and your mask as well. You do want to clean these on a weekly basis as well with that soap and water solution too. So you're going to basically rinse out all these items with regular soap and water and let them air dry. The water tank can also be cleaned, and you can actually open up the humidifier lid, and the gasket inside the lid is also removable, and it's basically just like a rubber silicone gasket. This can also be washed, and once it's washed, you would simply just put it back into the housing of your tank, and then you can reassemble your water chamber as well. So essentially, for the humidifier, just keep cleaning it. As long as all your parts are still intact and not cracked or broken, you can keep using the equipment. If you notice any damage on the tank, these can be replaced separately, and these items can be purchased elsewhere too. For the mask and tubing, you do want to replace these every 6 months, okay? So it is recommended to replace the entirety of your mask in 6 months' time. However, if you're finding that parts of your mask, like the cushion or your head straps, are wearing out sooner, you can usually get these items separately. The filter on the back of the machine can be washed once a week, but you do want to change these every 3 to 6 months. If you have pets or allergies, you could change these even more frequently. Some individuals change these on a monthly basis. Of course, all of the maintenance schedule and reminders are provided in a care guide sheet that we'll give to you. And that's essentially the maintenance of the equipment. Next up, we're going to show you how everything would look if once your device is connected and you're about to start therapy. All right, guys, so we have our volunteer here, Stylish Sam. He's part of a lot of our videos, and he's going to show you how to use the equipment. So on his face right now, he has the ResMed N20 mask, and of course, you can use any mask to your preference. If you're a mouth breather, you can use a full face. If you prefer pillows, you can use the mask that you want. So we have the mask on. Of course, you want to adjust the headgear so it has a nice, comfortable seal, not too tight, not too loose, okay? Every mask has its own tubing connector. So the N20 has a little swivel 12-inch connector here, and we're going to connect this to the one end of the tubing. So one end goes to the machine, the other end goes towards the mask, just like that. You're just going to fit it right over, and it's going to be there on nice and snug. Okay. Of course, you're going to make sure your water canister is filled up with water. You don't want to run it dry. If you do want to run it dry, just eject the water chamber and connect your side cover instead. When you're ready to start your therapy, you're simply just going to press the start button below. Of course, if you have the smart start setting on, when Sam starts breathing, unfortunately he can't really breathe, the machine will turn on its own. Of course, you could press the button right below, and the machine is going to start right away. You are going to see your pressure displayed on the screen. Okay, if you have a ramp, it's going to tell you the duration of the ramp and how long it's going to hold it at that pressure. And eventually the light is going to disappear as a screensaver, so it's not distracting you at nighttime. It will kind of dim down over time. If you press any of the buttons again, it should light up. To stop therapy, you can either disconnect your equipment. So on a mask like this, you could use the quick release feature to quickly disconnect it, or you could press the button once more time to stop your device right away. Now, we do recommend pressing the button because sometimes the Smart Start setting can take a while before it turns off on its own. So if you don't want air pressure just blowing for too long of a period, just press the button when you're done using the equipment and it'll stop that airflow. Now, all PAP devices do give a gentle breeze of air right after the therapy is done. This is just a cool down feature, totally normal for the equipment. You can leave your device plugged in before you use it again later tonight. So that's how you use your equipment. We hope you found this video useful. If you had any questions or concerns about your device, feel free to reach out to our staff at Airvol, and we'll be glad to assist you.